Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the Railroads Online playthrough. And if you probably notice here, I've put some numbers on the rail cars, and I've done that with the Rose editing tool. It's actually very quick and easy with the edit tool to put the numbers on there. And I've given them a number code, and I'm not sure where the number code came from, but being a tier 2 and car number 12, and they are very much out of order. But that doesn't matter, they'll get mixed up a lot more in the future. Now, one of the things we have to address today is having somewhere to turn around here at the freight depot. And I thought about putting a loop in, and I thought, why not just use this straight track and we'll put a turntable on the end of it. So I'm going to put a turntable down there on the end. But before we do that, TL Hart suggested in the comments yesterday that I put a ramped line down here so that when we re-rail over onto the line, all the rail cars will automatically roll down the hill and be all ready to connect it up, and all I have to do is back the locomotive in and grab the consist. So we're going to put in a hump yard, or something like a hump yard, down in this little gap here. Now, because to do that, we're going to have to remove some of what we've already put in. So we're going to have to change this switch to start off with. And let's cross our fingers and hope that the opposite side switch will go straight in and it won't stick under the ground. And that was fixed nice and quick and easy. And we'll delete this switch stand that we had here. And before we do that, we better go in here to the options. And we'll go to the audio first, because it was also said yesterday that the engine sounds are a little bit too loud, so I'll take it down another 5%. And we want to go to the graphics and put the foliage on low so that we can see the ground. And that's better. Now we can see where we're building. And variable, because we need to put a support underneath this switch stand. Add a little bit. And then alt lock and 10% down. And this water tower is going to be in the way now. So it's a facility, bye-bye water tower. And these trees are going to be in the way, because the switch is going to have to go in somewhere along here. And it's got to stick that way. And we've got to come back further, possibly to this link. And that should be a good enough distance. So we don't want this tree here either, it'll make it hard to see the switch stand. This one here will be alright. Now to get rid of the track that's out of the middle, start over here, left click, and drag up over the top, and we can remove the track that's out in the middle of the switch. And we might remove that whole piece. And then we've only got to put one piece back into the middle. Now we also need some groundwork to go in here, because we're going to have to put in a corner and a short transition. So we need to come over here into the trees and find where it was that we left that little sample piece of groundwork. There it is, hiding over here. And grab constant, bring that sample piece all the way back over here, as far as it'll reach anyway. Take another sample from it, all the way over to here, as far as it'll reach. And another sample. Should be far enough, and we'll need to put another piece off the side here so we've got enough room. Now to get across one lane that has a spacing of a cross track, we need to put one piece in there like that, and that one in there, and the cross track on the end. Delete the switch at the middle, and this is the same as we did in episode 1 of the building tutorials. Build across there. First segment is a 3, and then a 7 1/4, just slightly off of full length. Lines back up to straight again, and across the cross track to finish off. And remove the cross track from there. And put another cross track on the end of here and remove that one so that we can build forward, and we know where to stop, because we have to build forwards and build backwards because we want the track to face from that end this way so that the rail cars automatically come in at the right direction. Now from here we want to go, we need to use variable because we want to put in a transition, and we'll snap it to there. And no, we don't want to go up that high. We might go up half a degree at a time for a segment, and then another half a degree for as short as it'll let us put it. Make it straight. How far up in the air is that going to put us? At 1. We might go 1 1/2. See where that puts us. That looks better. And then we'll end that. Otherwise we'll get Z randomization in the straight. And we'll use a constant for here. And up 1.5. Somewhere parallel. That's close enough for the moment. And that should give us a line to roll the rail cars down when we're lining them up. So I've only got to park the locomotive up there at the outside the switch and just let them all roll down. Connect them in afterwards. Okay, so we'll build forwards up the hill and connect onto there. Alt lock. As long as we haven't got too high here, it won't overlap the groundworks onto the rail running past. And just enough length. And then that. Now what we'll do is we'll build backwards over the top of it so that the rail points the right direction. Snapping to all the control points. One more piece. Now, before we end the spline, come over here so we're far enough away so we don't place it down, and left click and hold and remove all the track out of the middle. Make sure we get this double one that's in there, and keep holding left click all the way to the end. And now the track is facing the right way. Right click to end the spline, and we're facing the right way now so that the rail cars will, as soon as I put them on there, their brakes are pointing down the hill. Okay, we can clean up the temporary groundworks now. That bit and that bit. And the transition part. We'll clean up that bit, and we don't need the ramp anymore either because we'll snap new groundworks to the top there. Now we do need to come across here because while we're building, we'll put this thing here on the end. So we'll put a piece under there to get a sample. And build a little bit more of a straight out there into the trees. And we'll put a cross track here on the end. And it doesn't matter which way the space is. So we're just going to keep going forwards with it. And snap to the end. Just run an extra bit of track out here. All the way to the end. And then later we'll come back and we'll delete the pieces out the middle of it that we don't need and then work backwards again. Pretty much that's just to get a line through. Now, we want to put in a turntable, and I like the look of these ones, turntable number 1. And so we'll come across here till we've got a snap point, and that wasn't what we wanted at all. So I'll try again. Stand in a different position, and it went under me again. So let's be silly and turn around and put it backwards, and it put it forwards. Yes, well done. Let's try putting it in at an angle, and it still went underneath me. So I got 4 turntables on top of each other now, and another one. It's got to let me put it in here sooner or later. It seems we're only getting them to build underneath. Turntable, and it went underneath again. Okay, not sure what's going on here. I've never had this happen before. Let's look this direction, and it still went underneath. Still went underneath. Okay, let's try delete that piece of track out of the middle, and let's try that. Let's see if it goes into the right position. Give me the link. Ah, now it went in. So we've got a few, and I'm not sure what these are called. Are they facilities? I've never had to delete one before. No? Maybe they're rail. Oh, that's getting rid of them. They're rail. Yes, we've got quite a few of them stacked up there. Okay. Now to get the rail out of the middle, we'll start out here and hold down the mouse button and run across over the top and delete the rail out of the middle. And that should have all the rail cleaned out there. This tree's in the way. Bye-bye. Yeah, do your dance, tree. Okay, we'll come and we'll connect it back across that one so that we can get straight. And all we've got to do is just line this back in so that it's somewhere neat up to the back of here. And it'll actually tell you where it'll let you put it to. Just won't let you build it any closer. And that's the point. It drops up and the arrow drops up and goes down. And we want it at that point where the arrow drops down at, which is about there. And we need to delete one of these, and it doesn't matter which one. And there we go, we have a turntable in. And some more trees to get out of the way. And I don't think we need that much room off the end. I think we can bring it back one piece further back. And that'll give us plenty. Okay, now we can delete all the temporary groundworks. And this piece, and this piece. And the cross track we used to get started with. Now we want variable grade for here. We're going to have to overlap this from judge where center is, because that piece is going to be longer. And something I like to do here is I like to actually drop this down so that it reaches and sort of starting to sink in About there should look good. And it's got that slow dip down into the... Now we'll grab a sample height from here and run it through to the end and put it under there. And now we'll build back and do the same thing backwards with a variable. And we'll start here on the end. Take that point, and this one here right on the end, we'll drop it down until it does the same thing as it did on the other end. And that should be about close. We can delete this piece out the middle now. And that looks quite neat with the groundworks leading up to it. And so we don't run off the end, we'll put a pile of dirt here, variable again, and we'll go up 8, and I don't know why it does that 0.99999 thing, and that's been asked before of the devs and they haven't been able to say why it does that. We'll go onto the, snap onto there, put the alt lock on, and then turn it around to be -10 back into the ground, and stretch it out far enough so that it dips into the ground. And there we go, it looks like we've got a nice pile of dirt. And well, that's a soft stop. If you actually hit up that, the wheels will come up it a little bit, then it'll sort of just stop here and then it won't let it roll backwards again. But if you're going with enough speed, it will blast over the top of it. But it won't derail everything, it'll only derail what goes over it. So there we go, we've got a way to turn the locomotive around now. And we'll come back down here and put some groundworks under this hump yard, or the hump line, the re-rail hump line. Oh, we don't want bridges. There needs to be a back button put here in the... Oh no, we want to have variable because we need to go up the transition a little bit. And we want to stay to the right side of there, then to the center. So after this one, it's going to start climbing. Okay, or maybe not. Next one, it'll start climbing. There we go, now we're starting to climb. And we might actually stay level and then go one more piece. And we will go 10 degrees down, make it disappear into the ground. From that point. And then we'll do a transition over into the, and we just need should just need a constant grade. And that was obviously not the right point to start with. Should be between these two. There you go, now it's level. And looking at that, I think we needed to choose variable. We've still got part of the transition there at the start of that. So it's in between there. And we want to go up 1. Yes. And we want to go up 1 1/4. And now we're 1 1/2, and now we should be able to go all the way to the end. We'll take it about half. And one more short piece on the end. You're going to give me a link? There it is. Oh, that looks like it'll work. And just in case we run off of here, we will put a piece of bridge on here. And that lines up pretty good, and we'll just put it on a ramp. And piece of bridge going backwards. And then one more tiny little piece of bridge on the end. Try and get it to line up straight. That'll do just nicely. And then delete the bridges with that bit, and that just leaves us a couple of boards on the end, and that'll stop them from going over. Looks kind of unsightly like that. But it'll work. So there we go, all the building done. Well, not quite. We still need to have a water tower here somewhere, because we don't want this one because we'll actually never use this one. And strangely enough, I didn't think it'd let you delete it, but it does let you delete that one. We don't want the one there. It'll never get used. So we'll come back down here and variable. Put in some groundworks in the switch stand, alt lock, 10 down. And then we need to delete a piece of groundwork here out of the middle. And some facilities. And line these up with the edge of that kickboard. Got to line it up with the edge of the rails, the ties. And this is very painful to do sometimes, because the mouse just moves so quick when you start looking down slightly. We'll give that a try. That looks all right to me. And patch up the hole in the groundworks. And we'll use variable just in case you've got to lift or lower it. We'll start here, snap to that point, and overlap at 1. And there we go, we can't even tell that we messed with it. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do today in this episode is we're going to go and get some more beams. We'll turn our grass back on now that we finished building. Graphics, grass back up to epic. And Betsy's fire's gone out completely. Get it burning. Make sure we've got one brake on at this end. We'll go sort the brakes out at the other end, because if I remember rightly, we had 3 turned on at the end here. I know you're off. And you're off, but you're on. And we need to get a pin and a link set up at this end. And we need to check that switch. It is lined the correct way. This switch here is not lined the correct way. So we want to come back through that way, using this here as a runaround. And Betsy's going to take a while to get some water up. I mean some steam, not some water. It's got plenty of water. We filled it up at the end of last episode. Water level should be, yep, almost full. So we've got about 50-ish. Betsy will take off. She may even take off now. Oh, look at that. She's going to take off now. Surprisingly how little steam Betsy needs to move. And we'll open the windows. I don't know why. I always seem to open the windows when I hop into the locomotive. And we'll just coast on down here. A little bit more on there, because it's starting to climb. We'll get there quicker. Yes, hopefully that works well. Saves us a bit of time when we're buying new rail cars. onto the turntable. Pull it up somewhere close to the middle. And come down here, and well, I don't actually do it off the side. I actually look at the bottom, stand on the turntable, that way you don't have to keep chasing it. It works for the smaller locomotives, but when you get the C70 and the Cook Mogul on there, they take up the entire length of the turntable with the pilot wheels hanging off, and you've got no choice but to do it off the turntable then. Must be getting pretty close. Stop, 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 stop. Oh, I overshot. I didn't turn it off quick enough. And to move it slowly, you just tap it and it'll move slowly instead of holding it on. There we go, that should be pretty well lined up. Brakes off, we're on forward. We've got full pressure now. Let's blast around this run around. Well, that was a mistake. Mistakes were made. I'm surprised that did not cause a derail. I'm really surprised that did not cause a derail. We better back out of here. That was a lol moment. Forward, brakes, go. Let's try that again, shall we? Hopefully we haven't bumped them too far forward and we can't get round at the other end. There's only just enough room there, and I think we've bumped them too far forward and we're not going to get past. We might be able to sneak it, we'll try. Because Betsy's only narrow, she might fit past there. We'll approach it slow. Oh, look at that, only just. I got stuck, Betsy made it past. Alright, back up to these cars and grab them on and we'll... Oh, it helps if you put it in the right direction, hey? Down again. Alright, set it to run forward. Brakes off, it won't go far until we actually get all these brakes turned off. And I'm pretty sure it's only the one at the other end. Well, I'm not going to have my support brake right outside the cabin this time because we're pulling them back the other way. And if you notice there, nearly every single one of these links is stretched apart. That's because I did not push the rail cars together before I exited out of the game. They were slightly stretched apart. And when it's loaded in and dropped the link pins down into each one of those couplings, it has left them stretched apart. That's the timer saying the time's up. So we'll get on through to the end and line up ready at the beams cranes so that we can unload load a few beams on here and sell a few more beams. And how much more money do we need? 1600. I'm pretty sure it's like 5400 for a cook. Let's have a look. Cook mogul. Not that one, not that one, this one. Where's the money? Oh, down the bottom. Oh no, it's 43. And it adds up a little bit more when you change the lights and the stacks. I think we might put that stack on it. I like that big stack. Or maybe even that one. Little one would set that on fire if we had fires. So we need about 4,400. Hopefully all our switches down here are still correct. Might back off the regulator a little bit so we can roll on in a bit slower. I want to come flying into the yard at full speed. And yes, it looks like we're lined through to go around to the cranes. Yes, and I was asked in the comments of the last video, how come I don't talk more about trains? And well, I really don't know that much about trains. I've ridden on a train 3 times in my life, and 2 of those times I was almost so young that I don't even remember it. It was that long ago. And there hasn't been trains here in my area for about 35 years. Queensland Rail came in and tore up nearly all of the regional lines and turned them into walking, hiking trails and horse trails. And supposedly biking trails, but you can't ride bikes down them unless you've got puncture-proof wheels. Because there's so many things that'll give your wheels a puncture on there. And we overshot it. Need to back it up a little bit. Lots of beans in reverse. There we go. Do we stop in time? Ah. Betsy really has some serious lack of brakes. And that should be enough. And I did leave that brake on, so we were dragging it, yep. And there we go, we're ready to load. So yes, I can't really talk too much about what goes on with trains or even so much how they work, because before this game I'd had basically no contact with trains or even train games. Every time I'd tried to play something like Train Simulator, I'd fall asleep at the computer. So I sort of tried to avoid those games. But yeah, Railroads Online, this has got enough little bits of everything in it to keep you occupied. And well, of course, my favourite part of Railroads Online is building the tracks. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle to me, so that's the bit that I find the most enjoyable. Let that roll through. We'll use a third-person camera to line up because we haven't put any markers at the side of the track here yet. And can I get this one right? About half a wagon to go and put the brakes on. That brake too. At that time I got it to line up. Right out, well I'll leave the video here and I'll load the rest of this for the next one, and I may even do 1 or 2 loads. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode.